Friends, family, and everyone who has supported me throughout this process so far by watching my videos, I thank you so much, and I'm very excited to finally be able to welcome you into our recording space. My name is Dylan, also known as Deep in Productions, and welcome to Manila Estudios. I just wanted to take a minute to talk about what Manila is and why we do what we do. As I said before, this is a partnership with my friend Alberto, and this studio is actually at his house in his backyard in what used to be a laundry room. We are located in Mérida, Yucatán, Mexico. It's a wonderful, beautiful place in the south of Mexico, and there's about a little more than 1 million residents that live in our city. There are a lot of musicians here, a lot of people making great original music ranging from pop to metal to rock to hip hop and pretty much anything you can think of. And some of them are really nice. But Beto and I felt that there was a spot missing in the market for a professional studio that was still accessible to the local musicians. Our mission is to create an independent, creative space that is able to support the local music scene through high-quality, professional recording, mixing, and even mastering. We wanted to create Manila as a place where you can walk in and feel like you're at home, to produce any genre and any type of artist, from solo acts to relatively large bands. So now that I've told you a little bit about our mission, let me give you a tour and show you the studio. Welcome to our wonderful entrance. Some of you all who have seen the other videos might remember this door. It turned out really well. It ended up being extremely heavy and very effective. It has about 90 kilos of sand. One of the things that I wasn't able to show in the construction videos is this nice little roof I made to protect the door from the sun and the rain, and it ended up being super strong, so I'm pretty proud of that. So let me show you guys the rest. Come on in. All right, so we decided to go with an open plan in order to have the artist and the engineer all in the same room. So you can see we recycled some sound panels that Beto had before, and the rest of them I made myself. Let me take you over to the mixing area. This is where all the magic happens, and we're just going to give you a bit of an overview of the equipment that we have here. The brains of the operation is this Mac Mini M4. The interface that we're using is this Audient ID48. It's the new offering from Audient, and I really like it, especially because of its ability to integrate analog equipment. So I have that connected to this patch bay, and the patch bay is connected to all the outboard gear that we have so far. We don't have a bunch, but eventually the idea will be to have a bunch of analog preamps, compressors, EQs, de-esser, everything I can get my hands on pretty much. I do most of my mixing in the box, but I love to record in through analog gear. One of the cool things that we have here is some equipment from DIY Recording Equipment. As you can see, this is their 1073 style preamp, which I'm recording through right now. And this is an optical compressor, which is more or less a copy of a LA3A, LA4A opto compressor. Over here, I have this Warm Audio 1176. It's pretty nice, but I'm probably going to replace that with a nicer 76 clone at some point. The monitors I'm using are these Atom A7Vs. They're very nice. I've always been a user of Atom monitors, and I've had cheaper ones in the past. These are kind of the beginner middle range of their more professional monitors, and so far I'm really enjoying them. They sound great. I've just been moving them around to different spots and using my SonarWorks tuning software to try to get the best response out of the room that we can. Over here on the rack, I have a bunch of empty space, so as you can see, I will be filling this up as the studio gets more and more successful. My dad built me this wonderful rack cabinet. It's pretty nice. And right now in here, I just have a headphone amp. I have this Behringer ADAT interface that connects to the Audient to record some extra channels. Eventually, I'm going to be replacing this with the Audient ASP 800 or the 880. And then below that, I have this XLR patch bay, which allows me to connect the XLRs to the front here, and then that goes to the back of the Audient. Some of you will remember this desk. This is more or less a copy of the platform desk by Output, just with my personal touches put into it. It turned out really well. I'm really proud of it, and it was very, very, very cheap compared to what I would have had to spend buying something else and getting it shipped all the way down to Mexico. This is a cool little piece of gear that I actually haven't been able to use yet, but my dad brought me from Colorado. It's a DBX 119. It is similar to the DBX 160, but this is not a professional unit. This is more of a unit you would use in like a stereo, and that's a cool little VCA compressor that we are going to start using here pretty soon. Here I have my SL760 MIDI keyboard. I actually had a whole series on this on my TikTok because I kind of got scammed and I ended up having to fix this, do some pretty extensive fixing on it. But I've swapped out all of the rubber key contacts and now it works absolutely perfectly. It's got a semi-weighted Fatar key bed, same as like the Nords have. So that's really nice. I've got the volume pedal and the sustain pedal, and this is a really nice keyboard. Even though it's old, it has a great feeling and it can get the job done. Then for DAW control and other kinds of stuff, if I want to control a software synth, I just have this little launch key and that works pretty well as well. Here we just have a couple pairs of headphones, and I have this Heritage Audio Baby RAM, which I wasn't using, but I'm going to reincorporate this into the monitoring setup because it is pretty useful. The next thing I'd like to show you all is a bit about the sound treatment that we did here. This studio build was done on a budget of basically nothing. We spent most of the money we had making the room bigger. It used to be a laundry room, and there was a wall right about here where I'm standing. We demolished that wall, expanded it, and put on the new walls and the new roof. You can see the difference between the white floor over here and the cool checkered floor that we have, which is the old part of the building. So when it came to sound treatment, we had a little bit of a challenge as we did not have the budget to do a room-in-room or to build anything from scratch. And this room has a little bit of weird dimensions. The whole thing is also made out of brick and concrete, so it's really not the ideal acoustic space. Before I put in all these panels and all this stuff, you literally couldn't even have a conversation with another person standing right in front of you because the echoes and the slapback was so bad. Is using as many panels as we could, essentially. Some of these are recycled, and then all these other ones with the gold fabric are brand new ones that I made specifically for the studio. So these are filled with rock wool. They're about 4 inches thick, and they're sitting about 4 inches away from the ceiling. One thing I did with these that really helped with the installation is I installed a grid of 2x4s into the ceiling with concrete anchors and glue. That way it was a lot easier to adjust and change the panels because I can just switch the locations of the little eye screws instead of having to drill into concrete every time. So that ended up being a really good idea. One of the other things I did that ended up working out pretty well is I made these big bass traps. So as you can see here in the corner, this is floor to ceiling, completely filled with rock wool. They're about a little bit more than 1 meter wide each. They're actually much wider than this. This is a false wall here. And the reason I built this false wall is because when they expanded the roof, they had to put a concrete pillar right here that sticks out. And so I wanted to be able to cover that. So you can see the bass trap comes all the way to there, and on each side it covers the whole corner. Right now I have some of these crappy old foam sound panels back here, but the idea would eventually be to also backfill this wall with rock wool insulation, and that will help even more with the acoustics. For now, I've just covered the top area, the back, and then the first reflection points on each wall. These panels are removable, so they could theoretically be used in anywhere in the studio if you wanted to isolate the drums or do something else with those. So that's kind of it. All of the trim is just pine wood, and I used a poly lacquer to finish it. I think it looks really good, and I really like how it turned out. In total, I think there's about 27 sound panels all around the studio and 3 bass traps in all the corners where I was able to put them. So here is where we record our drums. This is our little drum alcove. Once again, it's more of an open concept. It's nice to be in the same room as the artist, and we can communicate better that way. And also, we just didn't really have space to make a separate control room. In the future, if the studio goes really well, we might end up building another room outside on the other side of this window, and then this could turn into quite a large control room. But for now, we really like it how it is. So as you can see, it's pretty nice. We have our mid-60s Ludwig drum kit set up right here. That's Beto's kit. It's a beautiful, wonderful sounding kit. And then we have this cool little custom drum holder that I made for our nice little selection of snare drums and a couple of extra toms that we have up here. Once again, I have some cloud panels. These are pretty similar to the ones over there. It's just rock wool in a wood frame with some nice cloth. And then we recycled some panels that Beto already had for these gray ones here on the wall. Over here in the corner, we have our third bass trap. It's the same concept as the ones in the mixing area. It's just a bit smaller because I didn't want to take up so much space. This is also where we keep all of our cymbals. I'll show you guys that a bit later in the video, but we have quite an extensive selection of all different kinds of cymbals to choose from. Like I said, we're specialized in drums and drumming, so we really do have a lot of different sounds for our artists to get the perfect sound for their song. Here we have the window. This was part of the construction videos, but I wasn't able to show much. It's a special window that we ordered. It's 2 different plies of different thickness glass with an air gap in between. It's pretty cool. It didn't come from like a professional audio company. We just got it done by a normal window guy, and it cost us around $500. Here's where we keep some of our little gadgets and our percussion stuff. We have different kinds of shakers. We have this thing, which is really cool, that my friend from Peru gave me. It's a donkey jaw, and it makes a bunch of cool noises, some bongos, and different extra bits and bobs, including a bunch of Beto's drum keys. One of the things about building on a really tight budget is that I was trying to use every single piece of what I had. I had some stuff left over from the desk and from a couple of the other projects I was doing, so I ended up making these floating shelves. I took advantage of the space in between this pillar they built from the new wall and the old wall right here, and I made these cool little floating shelves with some scrap wood. So I'm pretty proud of that. I also recycled some old cheap sound panels I had, and I cut them up into pieces to make this cool little pattern right here. This is my drum set. This is a Tribes custom drum set from Boulder, Colorado. It is a custom brand from the Boulder Drum Shop, and I am in the process right now of restoring it. I just bought this rack used off of Facebook Marketplace, so I'm waiting on a couple new pieces, and I'm going to be getting this back into tip-top shape to be able to use it for recording and for a couple projects that I have coming up. I've had this drum set since 2007. It's very special to me, and it's a really, really great drum set for more of a modern DW style sound when compared to the Ludwig. This is our closet/bodega. As you can probably hear in the microphone, it's the only space in the studio that hasn't had any treatment done to it yet, so it's got a lot of reflections. Right now, that is working to my favor because I have this ribbon mic here pointed against the wall, and I'm using this as a drum room mic, and it sounds pretty cool and adds some really interesting effects to the drums. Here we just store cables, we store our microphones here when they're not in use, and right now it's basically just a storage space. The idea I have for it in the future would be to put another door here in the entrance. It would probably be similar to the door I built from the outside, but probably not as thick because it doesn't really need to be, hopefully with a plexiglass window in it. I would also like to send a HDMI cable from the desk so that I can put a TV here, and then the idea would be to treat it with sound treatment and turn it into a vocal booth. But I would have some TV screens and some webcams so that we would be able to see the artist outside and so that the artist would be able to see us inside. But for now, for the budget that we have, it's just a nice storage space, and it is really useful for getting this cool weird echoey room noise, which is why I have this microphone here. So I hope you all enjoyed that video. Thank you so much to anyone who's watched these videos and supported me throughout this whole process. It was a lot of work to get here, and I'm so proud of myself and my friend Alberto. I'm really happy how the studio turned out, and I really hope that we can be of great service to the local Merida music scene. If you would like to book some time at the studio, feel free to send us an email at manilaestudio.mx. That's Manila Estudio You can also check out our website at manilaestudio.mx. If you come from a different country or even a different state in Mexico, we would be proud to help you plan your trip here. We have one room available at the house next door for people to stay in. We are happy to help you plan your stay, your outings on the weekend, and to make your recording session an unforgettable vacation. Our prices are very accessible, and especially from someone who is out of the country, you could come here for an extended amount of time, record your band, go away with a professional recording, and have an amazing vacation, all for a similar price of recording in your hometown.